I'm Margot Rowe, and I'm going inside that burning building for educational purposes. Whether it's by hammer, a nail gun, or a saw, it is a labor of love up here on the ridge as 60 women volunteer to help build 2 homes in paradise. Fire crews have been working nonstop to try to slow the spread of the park fire, and as of Wednesday, parts of the fire has already jumped or hit Highway 36, but you could also find fire crews working to hold the line. This new law will impact the downtown parking situation, and just to give you an idea of how many parking spots we'll lose or how far you need to park away from a crosswalk, we're going to measure it out. Now, I'm on Wall Street in between East 4th Street and 3rd Street, and right here where the Action News Now car is, this is about 10 feet. Kennelly says with the grant funding expiring in June, the only thing that's really being impacted is its ad campaign. You may have seen posters like these on bus stops or billboards like this one along major roadways throughout Butte County.
Action News Now reporter Margot Rowe is just chilling out in the pool, feet in the water. I love this, Margot. You have the whole place to yourself? What's going on there?
I do have the whole place to myself. Earlier it was very busy. Staff says this whole week has been going very swimmingly, but the open swim does close at 5. I took this opportunity to take a dip myself. I know if I did this at 4, our engineers wouldn't appreciate me putting a camera near splashing kids. After investigators walked the perimeter, 51 acres have burned in this fire and 60% is now contained. And the mop-up process has been pretty lengthy. I'm actually going to step behind the camera because there was 3 areas that fire crews were working on to make sure to mitigate any hot spots. It pretty much all the action has died down, but this over here was a burned barn with a lot of metal, automobile parts, tools, and tires. Lots of tires in this was creating a hot spot for crews to work on for probably about an hour or 2. Other areas on the property, if you look back here, were these cars back here that burned. There's about a dozen or so cars on this lot, and as well as crews were working on this pile of what appears to be trash in the area. Haley, one of the biggest changes is the entrance to the facility. They recently changed that, and it has helped operations here a lot, especially when it comes to reducing the traffic risk. Now, typically, this was the entrance into the facility. It is a straight shot right from Neal Road over here, but you would have trucks lining up over here and backing up the road. Now, it's all the way, if you follow me, over here to the right of the facility, and the changes have been pretty positive. Alan, it's starting to kick up here. It just started. We have about 36 people here. The bounce house I mentioned earlier has been completely taken over by the kids, so no chance of getting in there. But this is a great event where National Night Out obviously happens across our nation, where basically our law enforcement officers and law enforcement agencies get to meet with the community. And to speak on it more, I have Butte County Sheriff Kari Honey here with us today. So, Sheriff, obviously, National Night Out helps with that community partnership. Can you elaborate why events like these are so important?
Oh, these are really important. This gives us a great opportunity to meet with people in a really calm, relaxed, fun environment. You know, it's 5:06. We just started. You're starting to see more and more people show up. I suspect by 7, we're going to be at full power.
On Thursday, a 911 call came in that a woman on this property with the white fence behind me was running around with a gun, threatening someone. But neighbors tell me this wasn't the first time 911 was called.
And we just heard a gunshot, and I said, uh-oh, I have a bad feeling about this because of history of the property.
Deputies responded just after 3 p.m. Neighbors tell me a woman named Valerie was running around with a gun chasing her partner. The Butte County Sheriff's Office confirmed the woman's name was in fact Valerie Ann Cadwallader. When deputies arrived, one neighbor says she saw Cadwallader near the back of the property.
Valerie had gone up the hill, and she was screaming that she had a gun, and she was going to blow him away. And so I called the dispatcher back just to let her know. I was like, hey, she's saying she has a gun. And that was, they had just gotten here, so I wanted her to be able to warn them. Mm-hmm. And then after that, it was just them trying to, more and more arriving, and then them trying to talk her down.
The sheriff's office says Cadwallader pointed the gun at deputies and asked them to shoot her. The neighbor took this photo of deputies in her driveway. I checked with District Attorney Mike Ramsey, and he confirmed what she told me. The deputy on the driver's side of the photo is the one who shot the woman. Deputies tried to save her, but Cadwallader died at the hospital from her injuries.
I mean, obviously it didn't end the way, you'd like it to, but they did a good job.
While neighbors expressed sadness for how the situation ended, neighbors weren't surprised with how it started.
The problems are ongoing. Personally, I've called 911 probably 35 times. And it's always for domestic disputes, for fighting, for animal control problems.
Several neighbors tell me for the last 3 years, this property has a history of problems. They've tried to get several county and state agencies involved to stop the activities that go on at this property, or even get it declared a nuisance, but were never successful.
This is a problem property, a nuisance property, and now somebody has lost a life.
Neighbors are hoping something can change so nothing like this will happen again.
It's been an issue for a number of years. Hopefully this is the catalyst that gets the county excited about taking care of it.
The list goes on. Every state and county agency I can think of to call, I've called. I retired after 35 years as a public servant. I was on the other side, and now I'm asking for help, and it's just not happening.
Reporting in Butte County, I'm Margot Rowe for Action News Now. Typically around this time of year, the water level at the Thermalito Afterbay should be a lot higher. Where these buoys should be floating and where I'm standing, I should be swimming. However, due to a recent construction project, that has led to the water level to be a lot lower.
It's our first time down here this year, so we were kind of curious what the water level was like after all the rain and everything. Really surprised.
A surprising sight indeed. Since February 18th, locals have noticed a significant drop in the Afterbay's water level, but it's intentional. The DWR has temporarily lowered the water level to work on one of the Wilbur Bridge abutments, the structure that supports the end of the bridge. DWR crews installed rock slope protection to prevent further erosion. The water level was lowered to 128 feet to give crews access.
It is a shock. I've been here going on 11 years, and I don't recall it being quite this low.
The DWR says the water level is within a normal operating range, where it still provides habitats for wildlife and recreation facilities remained open. However, several anglers I spoke with say the lower level made fishing conditions a challenge, but others were holding out for a bite. The DWR says the water level should return back to normal by Friday. Reporting in Orville, I'm Margot Rowe for Action News Now. I'm Margot Rowe, and I'm going inside that burning building for educational purposes. This weekend, I took part in the 4th annual Chico Fire Citizens Academy, where I got to learn and train like a Chico firefighter. And let's just say there's a lot more to their jobs than putting out fires.
They can be anything from a structure fire to a rescue in the park to a traffic accident that needs extrication, going on a medical call.
It was on day one where several Chico City leaders, Chico PD dispatchers, and another reporter and I learned that over 50% of Chico Fire's calls are medical related, with service calls just being over 25% and just over 2% of calls are fire related. And it was these types of calls we would go through training for on Saturday. Chico firefighters have to do roughly 240 hours of training to stay on top of their skills. And last year, firefighters did over 300 hours of training. And for us in the academy, we're only doing 8 hours of training, and we're just getting a taste of what these guys do in their day-to-day.
You're going to immediately start compressions.
This includes medical calls, where we had to work together as a team to give CPR and save a life. To learning how firefighters extract a person from a car after a serious crash, and rappelling off a 5-story building for technical rescue training and even hazmat training. And wearing the fire gear known as turnouts wasn't just for show, as we did have to do a few fire-related training exercises, like running a fire hose, rescuing someone from a fire, and even sitting in on a live burn.
I'd like to get the ball back now. I don't know if we're going to get it.
The live burn was to show fire behavior in a condensed space, and despite everyone in the academy coming in with different levels of knowledge and experience,
there was something new to learn for everyone.
Everything from basic operations of the fire department to things that I didn't even really think the fire department dealt with, like breaking open vehicles to extract people to save their lives. That was really interesting. We got to use the jaws of life and learn how that works. That was cool.
I learned that firefighters are in great shape. I was really exhausted doing certain things. There's no visibility when you go in and there's a fire, but you're really relying on your training and then your teammates to kind of maneuver around a burning building.
But I wanted to understand the fire side a little better, even though I had a pretty good understanding. I did not have a full understanding of all that they do. And this academy really, as you know, has opened our eyes up as far as the variety of activities, of functions, of responsibilities our fire department has. It's very, very comprehensive and impressive.
And as for me, I learned that the title firefighter is an understatement. These guys don't just fight fires, they solve problems, big and small. From rescuing an injured hiker in the park to rescuing a cat from a tree. From saving someone stuck on a flooded road to getting a stuck ring off your finger. At the end of the day, their job isn't done until your problem is solved. Reporting in Chico, I'm Margot Rowe for Action News Now.